Hello and welcome back to the Sunday special episode of the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. So good to be back here with you, Jordana. We love a Sunday special.
Love a Sunday special. We get into the longer emails we might not have time for in our regular shows.
That's right. And it's a really nice, consumable episode. We do one subject. Send it to a friend. If you have a friend that's going through a similar thing, let them know. Let them know about the show.
Who's like, 2023, I'm getting my shit together with dating, and I could use some laughter along the way, take the edge off, but also maybe pick up some tips. Send them this show.
This is the spot for that. We want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. If you're out there, I got shows, people. I want you to come to my shows. Please, please, please. Actually,
very direct.
I don't like the sound of that.
I want you to
please, please, please. No.
If
you want to come. Yeah.
Please.
It sounded bad. I don't know why. I'm hungover. Okay, I'm hungover.
Please.
I made it through the first. We taped the first episode, and I
need this.
I just come to my fucking shows.
Listen, this is our last. This is our last small episode before we do our holiday break. So forgive any sort of.
And we do these so you'll have these every week. But
yes.
I got through the first, and then something happened where I just the hungover just hit me just now. Like I went in the bathroom and I sat on the toilet here.
You looked at your face.
Just looked at my face. I was like, "Ugh, you're losing it, buddy."
After this, go home, kid. Take a nap.
Nap time. I want to eat everything today.
Okay.
Something about today.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah. What are you going to eat?
I don't know. It's on my mind. I want to go get a nice meal. I ain't cooking shit.
I feel like I'm going to go home.
Draw a bath. I'm going to make some pasta from scratch.
That sounds nice.
There's no bath.
Okay, you're not a cooking guy.
If I took a bath.
When's the last time you cooked something? That wasn't like a reheated Amanda Dobler meal.
Shout out to Amanda Dobler. It's been a while.
Okay.
I'm living a very bachelor life.
Very Carrie Bradshaw uses her oven for storage.
That's me. In my oven, there's just hats instead of shoes. My hat collection. I don't know. I'm hungover. I don't know what to do.
It's okay. Sleep it off. We're just going to solve this person's dating story.
This person's dating story. I'm in Toronto, Vegas, Perrysburg, Ohio, Vancouver, Irvine, Indianapolis, Oklahoma City. JaredFree.com. Please come.
Please.
No, I'll be okay either way.
Yeah, your shows do pretty well.
They do pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Great show. I haven't seen your new stuff. I won't since your
new stuff is garbage, but
Okay, well, that was a great ad for your shows.
No,
please come. Please.
I'm going to go to Boca on Sunday. You know what it is? I'm like, this dating thing.
It's a real drag for you?
It's been a drag, I think, lately.
I think
I'm strung out on it.
Well,
I'm just ready. I don't know. I go back and forth. We kind of had this conversation, the flaws of a man. I go back and forth from I want to relate. I know I want a relationship. I just need it to hit me in the face.
Like the person?
Yeah. And we talked about this cab light on, light off. And, you go on these days and some of them just feel it feels like I'm not a good first date because I'm just
We've established you're a great first date.
I think I'm good, but I go on these, I'm like, am I ever going to get hit in the face in this scenario? Sometimes you go on those first dates and you go, we make the place and meet me here and we'll have one round and then 2 rounds and you go, I don't know.
Never feels magical.
It should. I don't know if it should feel more magical.
I think if you're, again, it depends what kind of person you are. I don't know if you're a person who's prone to feeling magical. But
I'm not very Harry Potter.
I could see you having a magical 5th date with someone.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how I used to date. I feel like I wasn't I never went on a first date. And if I did go on a first date and I was like, oh my God, this is magic. It was usually because I was a lusty, kind of the Logan Ury, spark. I was attracted to them withholding a little bit or something.
It was from a bad place.
Yeah. It was from an excitement because of an unsure, because they weren't it wasn't so clear that they were into me.
Right. That hits me a little bit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm not sure if you're into me is hot.
Yeah.
But then I guess, there's a point, and this is the issue that I remember when we first talked about, like, me being single again, like, the laziness comes into play.
Right.
Where I'm like, am I just too lazy to get to that 5th date of feeling that way?
No, because you won't. Because I think it's lazy. It's less lazy to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's so much harder to keep going on first dates with a million different people than having to have the same conversations over and over again. I think by the time you get to the 5th date, then you're like, okay, we can talk about some real shit.
Right.
That's where it gets fun.
That's where it gets into the part of life that I'm like ready for.
Right.
Right. I guess like something about a first date feels like I'm at the high school party and I'm too old to be there.
I could see what you're saying. It's kind of like, I'm still doing this. I
Right.
see what you're saying by that. But that's because because you've been hesitant to go on second dates. When's the last time you were on a 5th date?
Probably it was the summer.
Okay.
And it was, and because of my hesitation to go on the second date, the 5th date took a minute to get to. So like it was happening casually more than 5th
Right.
datey. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Right.
It's
not like 5 dates in 3 weeks.
Right.
It's
It wasn't
5
like
dates
that.
in
5
3
dates in
months.
3 months and some and the texting in between and hey, meet me here or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get drinks or whatever. But yeah, that's been
I think if the light's on,
the light is on.
go on some 5th dates. And again, you break up with someone after the 5th date, they get over it.
They get over it.
I've been broken up with after many a 5th date, and I don't even remember which guys it was. Like, you deal.
Yeah, you're right.
It sucks for a second. Life goes on. Someone could dump you after a 5th date. How would you feel if someone dumped you after a 5th date?
It would be a lot of relief.
No, if you're into someone,
I'd be like,
and they dumped you after a 5th date, you'd be like, that sucks.
I'd be like, that sucks. I thought that was gonna go a different way.
Yeah.
But I would go,
and then you'd feel shitty for maybe a day, and
right.
then you'd move on.
And then I would move on. Yeah,
That's
I
life.
wouldn't. Right. That's life.
Have
That's
you ever
life.
been on 5 auditions for something and then you don't get the thing? I don't know if you're not really an actor,
Yeah.
but like,
Yeah, that happens. I've been carried away.
Yeah.
I'm like in a process.
you know,
of
you're
like,
on the
oh
5th
shit.
step of a process. You
Right.
met all the people, and then
get over it.
You don't get it.
No,
So-
sometimes I still think back on a couple of those where I go, fucking piece of shit.
well, that could be you.
Well, I do feel better off for not getting those things.
That's what I'm
'cause
saying.
I think that's part of the reason
Yeah.
we're here doing this podcast.
And then again, it sucks. You get the initial thing that it's not happening. It sucks. You feel shitty in your like gut, and
Right.
then maybe you feel that way for like a day,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a week tops, and then life goes on.
Maybe I need to get dumped to feel it, to know that
That's you need to be dumped by someone
on a 5th date.
on a 5th date.
If you're out there and you want to,
Maybe you would be. Maybe that's the real fear of getting dumped on the 5th date.
maybe that's it.
Gotta,
Get Naomi on the phone.
yes, we'll bring you on Oversharing. That would be a fun episode.
That would be fun.
Do you want to get a
Evaluated?
psychological breakdown?
I would love that.
Really?
I've never done
You're open
something
to
like
it?
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
We'll bring you on Oversharing. I think people would love that crossover.
Yeah, the Jetsons meet the Flintstones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because she's wanted to do that. Well, not with
She
you,
has.
not with you specifically, but just like with a person who
Right.
can like answer.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I love it. Okay.
What are we talking
I'm
about
gonna
today?
tell her.
I can't wait.
Coming this January.
I'm a fan of the show.
Thank you. All right. So today we are talking about how to set boundaries with a friend you tried to date.
Okay.
Not a problem that you have right now, but still a problem relating to many people. So.
Right.
Okay. Hey, Jay and Jay Feather. I love all that you do, and I'm so grateful for the years of advice you've given me. Here's the situation. I, 29 female, recently got out of a 4-monther with a guy, 31 male, who's in the same friend group as me. People are still doing friend groups at this point in life. He's not a core member of the group, but he will join events and trips a few times a year. We liked and flirted with each other for the past 7 to 8 years. But
7 to 8 years.
That's a long time.
Okay.
But timing / location / other relationships always got in the way. By the time we started dating this year, I had completely romanticized this guy in my head to be my perfect guy. Womp womp. Turns out he's a human man with intimacy issues and not at all the kind of person I wanted to date, much less get into a serious relationship with. My end goal. Our relationship felt very friends with benefits, except we were going on regular formal dates and our friends all knew we were dating. I just wasn't getting the emotional depth or romance that I wanted/needed from a relationship. Your advice helped me turn the "what are we" conversation into a "this is what I want and need from you if we're going to keep dating and I'm not getting it from you right now. Is that something you're interested in giving me or not?" Well, you make it sound very fun.
Right. Can't wait. Is that something that would become of interest of you?
Are you in or you out?
Yeah. Could you see yourself getting a meal of food with me in a romantic setting? I need an answer. She's like Judge Judy.
Tick, tick. Yes, Judge Judy. That's a great way to put it.
Talk to me.
Well, Judge Judy is the best, like, cut the shit one-liners. What is she? Like, she's like, "Don't pee on my head and tell me it's raining."
I love Judge Judy.
Same.
My grandmother loved Judge Judy.
My grandmother was very similar to Judge Judy.
Same with mine, right?
Same cut the shit mentality.
Oh my God, my grandmother, like, I think she like modeled herself after her.
Right.
Yeah.
Icon.
Isn't she a billionaire?
She makes like $75 million a season or something. I read an article about how she negotiates. And like once I think whenever her contract is coming up, like once every 2 or 3 years, she has like lunch with like whoever the head of, what is it, NBC, wherever the show airs on. And she just she slips him a piece of paper with her number on it.
Yeah.
And she says, "This is the number. You're in or you're out."
Right.
And like, you can look at it later. Let's have a nice lunch. And then like, that's it.
That's it?
Yes.
She should talk to this woman about her dating life.
Right?
Slip it on the table.
Here you go.
How much do you think she's worth?
500 million.
Less.
200
but
million.
you're not far away. $440 million.
Oh, that was pretty close.
Yeah, you were pretty close.
Okay. Good for her. Just for being herself, too.
Just for being Judy.
Right?
Oh.
What a great life. She's still on the air?
I think she is.
So.
I think she went to streaming.
Oh, yeah. They've like, that's, I think, where she made all the money because they licensing the show, all the old episodes.
Oh, really?
To like whatever streaming service they're on.
What it would be like to get her on this show.
Oh, my God. Judge Judy. I don't even know her last name. If we could get
Shineland.
Her husband's
She's
also
celebrating
a
Hanukkah
judge
tonight.
Yeah. Happy Hanukkah, Judge
Happy
Judy.
Hanukkah,
I mean,
Judge
it's
Judy.
very far past that at this point. But if we could get Judge Judy on the show,
If anyone knows the way.
She would be great at deciphering this issue. Anyway.
I think I found the article you read. Her new show and the story behind her $460 million fortune. Yeah,
she
crazy.
slips the. Yeah, I'm going to read that after just to refresh on that.
I just like the idea.
Jared,
Eat your lunch.
Jared, you should do that with our with our Betches contracts.
Right.
Here's my number.
Here's my number. Eat your lunch.
Although I knew going into it that his answer was almost certainly going to be no. Ding, ding, ding. It crushed me to hear him say it to my face, and I ended up crying on his lap for a good hour. Oh my God, that's every man's worst nightmare.
There.
For an hour.
It's horrible.
I'm not interested in being your boyfriend, Pat.
And he's like not emotional enough for her.
Right? He's like, how do I get her to leave? I don't know.
Hey, my arm's falling asleep.
Okay.
Are you done crying
It's
yet?
okay.
Right, and he has to sit there as long as she wants.
Right.
Like I've been in that room where you're like, you can't be like, hey, I have an appointment.
An hour is a long time. I'm surprised it didn't go through her head like maybe I should go.
Right.
I know.
Because he can't say that.
I guess it was a 7 or 8 year long situation.
Right, they're friends.
Yes. 45
Friends.
minutes for every year that this has been built up.
It's crazy.
However, I'm nothing if not skilled at disassociating from my emotions, and I felt desperate to maintain the friendship. I still deeply care about this person after so many years of history. So 2 days later, I was already convinced I was healed and was casually texting him as friends, bantering about the topics we would talk about while dating.
Wait.
Bad idea.
Yeah, Judge Judy wouldn't like this.
No. I suggested meeting up just a week after we broke up, and we've had a few daytime hangs since then. The first few times felt very healthy and innocent, but the last time we ended up back at his place and I felt covertly flirty vibes from him. Nothing physical happened that day, but I could feel my old anxious attachment style flaring in the face of his avoidant one, and so could easily see myself slipping into a toxic on-again, off-again, friends with benefits type situation like one I suffered in for several years a decade ago.
Suffered.
That emotional part of me so badly wanted to sleep with him that day, but I logically knew it would only leave me feeling anxious and hollow, so I ran out of there but continued to play it cool, texting him after.
Gotta go! Played it totally cool.
After I picked my head up off his lap and I left the room.
Okay, I gotta go. Okay.
The last
Gonna play it cool here.
The last thing that happened, sorry Jared for the long email, was the gang got back together for a weekend trip, and on the last night, him and I drunkenly flirted all night and made out in the end.
Hey.
Thankfully, we broke it off before it progressed further, but I ended up sobbing to one of the girls later that night about the whole thing, and I've been in a funk since then. She's so me, in that you're like girl who thinks you're playing it cool, but like you're so incredibly far from the person who's playing it cool.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, he's been texting me like nothing's happened, and of course we haven't acknowledged soberly that anything happened between us. My issue is that the last thing I want to do is make things awkward between us for the inevitable multiple times per year we will continue to see each other for the foreseeable future, at least until people start marrying off, LOL. However, I'm emotionally torturing myself to continue to keep this facade of a friendship up and risk falling into a situationship that's even worse for me. I know your advice is going to be to just tell him we can't be friends anymore and fuck the friend group, but I really mean it when I say this friend group is so precious to me, like family, and I know I will always have this person in my life in some capacity. I am theoretically okay confronting him to set a boundary between us, but I have a horrible tendency to word vomit my every thought/feeling once I open up the floodgates. Can you tell by my email? So I guess my real question is this. How would you each personally go about setting a boundary with this person? Like, I need an instruction manual for dummies. If you were in my shoes, what would you do or say exactly? Would you send him an iPhone-length paragraph via text or ask him awkwardly to get coffee so you can friend break up with him in person? How in-depth versus short and sweet would you make it? Would you screw the formal breakup convo and just attempt to let things fade by being less responsive and no longer initiating or saying yes to one-on-one hangs? Maybe avoidance really is the answer after all. I feel like the avoidance would be the route my friends would recommend to me to avoid making things weird, but at the same time, I'm worried that leaving things vague could be too dangerous for me in my weaker moments. But is it the more mature thing to do to just take responsibility for my own emotions and actions and not trauma dump on him? Jordana, I know you know the pain of falling for someone in this type of relationship and how to cut it off for good, but I need to find a way to not ruin our chances of politely interacting at social gatherings for years to come, but also not drunkenly make out with him at social gatherings for years to come. Jared, I know you're going to tell me the answers in my email, so where's the answer? While I mostly don't regret giving things a shot with this guy I liked for so many years, I also kind of hate myself for getting into the situation, falling back into old patterns, spoiling the friend group, etc. I feel like I would shake my head so hard hearing this email from a random person, but I genuinely am not thinking straight these days and need some help from my dating gurus. Sincerely, a bitch whose breakup didn't work the first time around, so she's calling in the experts this time.
Well, I'm sorry she's going through this. I'll start with that.
It's a very hard position to be in.
Right, because he doesn't care.
Yes.
He really doesn't care. And then that's my first
Right.
over.
He could hook up. He could not hook up.
We'll be friends.
Friends, not friends.
It's never going to be awkward for him. He
Right.
doesn't have even fear that the friend group will get broken up. She has all the fear.
Yes.
Like,
because she's the one who's much more emotionally invested.
Right. And it's like she's put so much on. Well, I guess to go back to the beginning of her email, we liked and flirted with each other for the last 7 or 8 years, but timing, location, other relationships always got in the way. I don't believe that at all.
No. Yeah.
I think what's going on now is what has always gone on.
Right.
Like now they gave it a shot because the expiration date was coming up. That they were like, well, there were no more excuses left.
Right.
So
but it
then
doesn't seem like he was ever really interested in making it a relationship.
Absolutely not. And what do you think? What do you...
I mean, I feel for her. I get this is a very painful situation to break in, to be in. And I feel like she's not doing herself any favors by like pretending that she can like handle this.
She can't handle it.
She can't handle it.
She's trying to be many times.
She's trying to be like cool. She's trying to be like, I can, I've got to be around. Like, I'm gonna figure out how to make this work for like the friend. And she says in the beginning that he's like sort of like a fringe member of the group.
Okay.
Right? So here's what happens. Again, like friend groups, this guy's 31 years old.
Right.
Like she has the right to be like, I can't really see you right now. And I think that like, if she's going to break up with him, quote unquote, or break up this friendship, it's a text that says, just like, I don't even think she needs to do anything, to be honest. She could just not be around him or not answer it. But if he continues to text her, I think she could say, the real honest thing, which is, hey, I was really into you. I know we tried to date. You clearly weren't into it. I still feel really shitty about the situation. I need to distance myself from you because I still just feel really attached to you and I'm not fully over this yet.
Yeah, I agree with that advice.
So
completely.
whether that's and the best way to get over someone is to stop being around them,
Right.
is to stop talking about them with people that you are around.
Right.
So maybe again, she's like, this friend group is so intense and so important and like, but he's not necessarily at all the things. If he's gonna be at the thing, don't go. That's what you need to do.
Right. And well, I don't know about don't go.
I think for the short term.
Well, they got to stop
go.
what they're doing now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. I guess what I would add to that is she needs to let him know that he's actively hurting her.
By continuing to talk
right,
to her.
Because to him, this is fun and games. He doesn't seem to understand the gravity of
You
the
would think
situation.
crying in someone's lap for an hour would give them some sense of the gravity.
Of course, but then
he's acting like kind of like an asshole.
he's acting like an asshole, but I'll give him some empathy on the side of like, there is this thought, and a lot of men are fixers. So you go, okay, we cried in the lap. We're done. She's come back. We're talking about what we used to talk about. I guess we're cool now.
Right.
And I know that's a little bit naive.
But then they made out.
Then they made out. I guess now we make out. I don't think he's...
Right.
The gravity of her... I would love to read his email. His email would be like, yeah, we gave it a shot, and, I think she's hot, but, it's not really kind of where I am right now, and I can't see a future in it. And it would
be... Down to talk and make out on when...
Right, when we see each other, it's fun, but
right.
That's the responsibility that I'm looking for. He's walking away from the responsibility of like, let's keep going. Let's see what this can be.
Right.
And I think she's personalizing it. She's making it so hard on herself. She's like, should I go and have coffee and trauma dump? I think she needs to be what you said. I think a text will help. If it's just a text that's like a breakup text.
Right.
And letting him know, like, when we interact, I feel worse the next day.
Mm-hmm. I feel shitty.
I feel shitty. I think stay away from talking about his feelings. It's not about him. When we made out the next day, I felt like shit. When we text, I feel good, but it's like where we were before, and it's not going forward, and I want to move forward. So every time I text with you about the fun,
and I get it. She wants to be like cool girl who's like, yeah, I could like, I'm not like those crazy other girls who are gonna be like freaking out when they see you. Like, I'm cool. Like, we can text. I'm cool. Like, we're friends. But like, we can hook up. I'm friends. I'm cool. Whatever.
Right.
But like, you're not cool.
You're not cool.
And I've been in that situation where you kind of just keep doing it because you're like, maybe we realized it's not the same, and then the next day you realize, no, he actually still feels exactly the same way.
Right.
And what you said was the only way I got out of it. Where we hooked up and I said, or we were going to hook up and I said, I'm having a lot of fun. Tomorrow I'm going to feel shitty and I don't want to do this.
Right. And
sometimes it sounds like it's obvious, like of course they would know that.
Right.
But I don't think it is.
But they don't know. He doesn't know. He thinks you feel how he feels and he feels nothing.
Right.
So and obviously he feels nothing. And you'd say, well, how do you know? Just by what's going on here. And I think sometimes it takes two people to go through a breakup. I don't think she's included him on the breakup.
Yeah, she's
crying on his
the
shoulder.
Whole burden. Yeah,
she's crying on him, and he's going, "They're there." He needs to feel
bad for hurting you, or continuing to do so. If someone said to you, "I'm having fun, but I feel really shitty the next day after we hang out or after we make out," I feel like you'd be less likely to engage with that behavior.
Back away. I would run away. I would run away because you don't want to be the bad. You don't want to be someone's problem.
Someone's torturer.
Right.
That's what it is.
Humans generally don't want to be that person. And it feels stupid. It's funny that it's like, it feels stupid to have to tell him that, but I think she needs to tell him that. And I think she's putting so much on like, well, how to do it. It's a text. I would write out the text and I would say, hey, we made out. State the obvious. Right. State what happened. We made out the other night. I tried to make this more. You ended it. Like, just state facts. When we made out, I felt horrible the next day. And part of that is you are okay with that. And I can't do that again. I need you to play ball with me in this breakup. And that means XXX. That means we can't text anymore. And I will do my part, but I need you to do your part. That would be my text to him.
And I know you're saying she doesn't have to not go to the things that he's at, but I think in the short term, that would be helpful.
I think
this person is very emotionally loaded for her.
She's got to unsubscribe on social media. She's got to do all the things.
Unfollow on all the social media platforms. Try to avoid going to things that he's at least again in the short term. And most importantly, date other people. Well,
it's funny. It's funny that like she says we had 7 to 8 years and then only dated for 4 months. It's funny that she's like, in her, what she's doing is she's saying that because we had sex, I'm sure in those 7 to 8 years they didn't have sex. I think she would have mentioned it.
Right.
So in the 4 months they have sex. So she's saying it's 4 months. No, this is 8 years.
Of her being emotionally invested in this person.
Right. Yeah. And whether, you have to admit that you weren't friends. You were two people who flirted with each other for 8 years. And the sex is irrelevant. Yeah. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. That's just the amount of time. The 4 months is the amount of time you guys were physical together, but you've mentally been entangled with this person. So you have to untangle. It
takes a bit.
It takes a minute. Right. And you have to let them know that it's not about sex is done so we're cool. Because they're kind of acting on that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She's trying to be like the cool girl. And I understand the urge to do that because she's like, he didn't do anything wrong. I'm not going to like villainize him. I'm not going to like I'm trying to be like a cool, nice, fun person. And I'm not trying to be like making him a bad guy.
This isn't even making him a bad guy. This is, I'm ending this with you because my life is worse with what we're doing now.
Right. I'm saying, and even by admitting that, she's kind of feels like she's like losing any power she potentially had for him to be like coming around and being like, maybe I feel differently.
Right. And
she's like, maybe if I'm cool, then he'll just like realize that we're like, that like I am a good person to date and he'll change his mind and I'll be like, because I would have like stayed cool about it.
Right.
But that doesn't really happen.
No, you're just a situation. And
that's why they call it a situationship.
That's right. I mean, I just think he's operating on, well, there's no sex, so we're cool.
Right. No,
that's not.
No, she's obsessed with him.
Right.
Like at first, that's the first step. Admit to yourself you are deeply, deeply attached to this person.
Yes.
So anything they do is going to be overly interpreted, overanalyzed. It means a lot to you. Mm-hmm. And when you make out, that's like that's seemingly an innocent thing. It's a huge thing to you. You're going to be thinking about it over and over and over again for the weeks that pass after that.
Right.
So it's not casual for you.
And it's not, and it can't, and he has to know it's not casual for him.
Right.
That's a big part.
That his actions carry consequences. Fucking asshole. Sorry, no. That was me projecting. Anyway.
That guy's sitting somewhere just like playing beer pong, has no idea what's coming.
He doesn't even know what hit him.
She was really cool about the breakup.
Oh my God.
We did it.
We did it. We solved dating. We'll be back on Wednesday. Bye.
Boom.
The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales-Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales-Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.